Hello, people. Welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for your Leeds United versus Newcastle pre-match chat. I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a nervy game. It's going to be a tense game, especially in the early stages, especially from a fan's perspective. But for me, I think we'll have enough to see this game through, and I'm confident of picking up 3 points. We know Leeds United and Marcelo Bielsa's record against teams that find themselves in the relegation zone or down there anyway. We have a great record against bottom half teams under Bielsa's tenure. And, you know, for me, we've started to click into gear a little bit. I know, you know, it's only 2 wins, but that's 6 points from the last 2 games. We've seen a Leeds United that I know and love and have grown to love against West Ham. It was heart in mouths at time. It was end-to-end. It was like a basketball game. But when we get into them sort of games, Leeds United normally come out on top. And yeah, I see us winning this game. Of course, we've just had the press conference, and I hate to say I told you so, but Bamford is still out. I think there's maybe a little bit more to this injury. I know it's a new injury now. It's his foot, but that's now a couple of games we've believed he's been due to start. This time, at least we know, you know, there's no chance of Bamford being in the lineup. So we won't be, you know, surprised come 2 o'clock on Saturday when he's not in there. There is the return of Joffrey Gelhardt. There is the return of Tyler Roberts. Whether either will be in the starting 11, I'm not too sure. We know Bielsa likes to keep it pretty samey, especially after a positive result. Of course, he is going to have to make changes because we have had injuries to Forshaw and to Firpo, and both will miss this game. Look, I'd like to see Joffrey start. That would be my pick to lead the line, but I don't think he will. I think Dan James will lead the line, and we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. As I say, this will be, you know, our 3rd straight Premier League victory since May, if, of course, we get it at the weekend, which I am, you know, positive that we will. And what I will say as well, I just want to say, like, if we don't somehow win this game, which is a possibility, of course. You know, Newcastle have been poor, but no team in the Premier League can be taken lightly. I still wouldn't be concerned. And I just know the general narrative, if we were to get beat by Newcastle, would be like, oh, we're back in the relegation zone. But listen, a 9-point gap at this stage of the season is huge, especially when you consider the amount of points the teams that are down there. You know, we as fans, and I think every fan is guilty of this, compare ourselves to other opponents. But, you know, as long as we start, you know, keep ticking off points, even if we got a point at the weekend, you know, I look at the teams that are down there, they're just not good enough to be able to bridge that gap. And I know it's too early to say, but look, Newcastle have 1 win all season. 1 win all season. So, you know, and we know the likes of Norwich and stuff. Look, I am positive, but listen, what I will say, just from my own personal standpoint, like, I'm not going to be concerned if we didn't pick up maximum points. Of course you want to, but I just wanted to put that one out there. So yeah, look, in terms of lineup, how I expect us to line up, there's going to be a lot of moving parts, and I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments on your probable lineup, because of course, with Forshaw being out, with Firpo being out, we then have the returns of Gelhardt, Roberts. What does it mean for the midfield? Well, for me, I expect something like this. So I would expect Meslier to start in goal. That goes without saying. Ayling to keep his place at right back, and a centre-back partnership of Diego Llorente and Pascal Struijk. I think Dallas may move to left back to go there for Firpo. I would play Koch in the DM because the short time that we've seen it against West Ham, I thought him and Forshaw were killing it in there. I genuinely did. They bossed it, and I was so impressed by both of their performances. Unfortunately, Forshaw gets injured, but I think Koch did a great job in there. So I believe he would keep his place, and I do think Rodrigo may come back into the setup. Obviously, he played a number of minutes against West Ham. I'd like to see Click as the sort of 10, high 8, but I think Rodrigo will. And the reason I say that is because Click will play in midfield just behind Rodrigo. I think Raf from the right, Harrison from the left, and James up top. Now, that's what I believe he will go with, but obviously there is so many different permutations. Dallas could play at right back, and maybe Leo Hieldi keeps his place at left back, which I'd be okay with, and that would mean Ayling moving into centre back. What does that mean then? Surely you can't drop Struijk or Koch. I don't know. There's so many moving parts, isn't there? But I think the one change I would make from that lineup for me would be Joe Gelhardt would lead the line. I think he should start. That's my preference. I don't think he will, though. And I think he will keep his faith with James. And you can understand why, because we've just come away from, London with a fantastic, 3 points against the great side in West Ham. And Dan James played his part. I know his finishing leaves a lot to be desired, like that chance when we could have gone 3-1 up just before half time. He's basically passed it back to the keeper. It's really poor. Needs to get it out of his feet and pick his side, really, and he scores. But instead, he just struggles to get it out of his feet because he's moving at 100 miles an hour, 24/7. You know what I mean? Doesn't even really look up. So, of course, I'd prefer to have a more natural striker playing that role. But I don't think you can bemoan the fact that Dan James will keep his place. Of course, quality isn't as good as Gelhardt in terms of finishing, etc. But what he offers us from the front in terms of pressing, it was there for all to see against West Ham. Now, let's speak a little bit on Newcastle. Now, I do believe Newcastle will go with the same lineup that they did against Watford at the weekend, obviously drawing with Watford as well, which is poor in itself. Watford are not a great side. And that lineup consisted of a 4-3-3. So Dubravka in goal, new signing Trippier at right back, Lascelles and Shah at centre-back, and Paul Dummett at left-back. There will be a midfield three, Joel Linton, Shelvey and Longstaff. Longstaff maybe could drop out for Joe Willock if Joe Willock gets the nod ahead of him. Joe Linton's one who's had a bit of a resurgence under Eddie Howe. He's been playing really well under his tenure, so someone we need to be wary of. But I look at that midfield three and I think we can certainly cause problems. From the right will be Fraser, St. Maximin from the left, and of course Chris Wood, new signing, leading the line as well. He'd love to get a goal at Ellen Road, of course he would, and I think the Leeds, that in me thinks Chris Wood's bound to score. Chris Wood is bound to score. And they may score, but I still feel that Leeds United will have enough in this game. Let's speak about St. Maximin as well. I said last time that I didn't fear him when we went to St. James's Park. Obviously, he scored the goal. I remember that game and being so frustrated because for me, it was a game that Leeds United should have won. It was really frustrating because I think Newcastle are really poor. And I took a bit of stick after that, but I still stand by that point that Newcastle at this moment in time are pretty poor. They were even worse then, and we should have took maximum points. But obviously, St. Maximin came up with a bit of a magical moment. Now, a lot of Leeds fans see St. Maximin's magical moments, but if you watch him regularly, I don't know that's why I'm not too concerned about him because yes, he could pull out a moment of brilliance, and he may at the weekend. And he's a player that really can cause problems for Leeds United, especially when you consider the man-marking system and how if he beats a man, so if he's up against Luke Ayling, he probably will be able to beat him at will. It's then the space that then creates, because we can't have, say, Strauch, who's marking Wood, coming all the way over to St. Maximin, because that then leaves Wood free. And that's where we struggle against players that of the ilk of St. Maximin's, your Traores, etc., because they do have it in their locker. They are really skillful. But listen, I know people that watch St. Maximin on a regular basis, and he sometimes flatters to deceive. And let's hope he has another similar performance at the weekend. I think we need to be wary of set pieces. They have improved at set pieces just in general under Eddie Howe's tenure. And of course, when you have Kieran Trippier delivering balls and Wood in the air, it's something we need to be wary of because, he can head a ball for sure. And we know our weaknesses from set pieces. Like if Eddie Howe watched last week against West Ham, like I'd be saying, listen, you win free kicks, you get them in the box. We get corners, we should be scoring. And we know last season, I think, Newcastle's goals came from corners, if I remember rightly. Kieran Clark, I think Jeff Hendrick might have got another, but I'm not sure that one was from a corner off the top of my head. But we know, and it feels like that narrative's starting to creep back in, like the corner narrative that we find, we struggle so much in. And obviously Newcastle will probably try and take advantage of that. But listen, back to why I'm confident. Why I'm confident against Newcastle. Look, they failed to win 19 of their last 20 matches. They've got one win all season, and that was against Burnley. We beat Burnley just a couple of weeks ago, 3-1. They don't seem to be the same Burnley as they were before. I thought Tarkowski and me were terrible, and they're not scoring goals. So Newcastle's one win came against that Burnley side. They have one clean sheet all season as well. I do expect goals in this game. Maybe from both sides. I think Newcastle probably can and maybe will score. But, you know, I remain positive. I do remain positive for this game, you know. They are one of only two Premier League teams yet to win a league game on the road. They've only picked up 3 points from 27 available. So that tells you how woeful they've been away from home as well. And, you know, they've conceded at least 2 goals in their last 3 away games. So I do expect goals in this game. And would I go as far as to say you could see a similar scoreline to last season? Possibly. It all depends how Leeds United are. I genuinely feel we're on an upward trajectory now. I think even the most pessimistic of Leeds fans, if we win at the weekend, will probably say, right, that's relegation done. Like, we don't need to be concerned about it. I know it's still early days, but you've got to remember that this 9-point gap is huge because there's teams down there like Newcastle who've won 1 all season. Norwich, I think, have got about 11 points. It's quite a big gap. You win at the weekend, it's maybe insurmountable with how they're performing. And of course, you know, Newcastle probably will improve, and they've brought in players like Wood and Trippier, and will continue to do that. Maybe we've got them at the right time before they bring in the rest of the personnel, because I know they're linked to a number of targets. But everything tells me this weekend that Leeds United will win this game. And I'm right to say that because Newcastle's form backs that up, and Leeds United have now started to tick over nicely. So I am confident, and I do think there will be goals. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that Leeds United win the game 3-1, same as the Burnley score. I believe if we score first as well, I know we've not been able to hold on to many leads, and there was a period of time under Bielsa where if you scored first, that was it, game, set, match kind of vibe. But, you know, our last 2 games we've gone in front first. Yes, we've been pegged back, but we've then gone on to win the game. So I expect a fast start from Leeds United as well. I genuinely feel really positive at the moment, and I feel like we're ticking into gear. And I think Newcastle's the perfect team to continue that run, and hopefully get 3 from 3, like 9 points in the last 3 games. Absolutely huge. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to know your lineups and your score predictions as well, please. But thank you as always for watching the Just Joe Football Show. Pleasure being able to do this. Like the video if you've enjoyed this preview. Share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that jazz. And listen, if I see you at Ellen Road, come say hi. If not, enjoy the game wherever you watch it. And hopefully, when I get back Saturday evening, it'll be a positive post-match as we you know, put the Magpies to the sword, which I think we will. I genuinely think we will. I'm really positive, yeah? Hope you get some of that as well. Of course, I'll be nervy. It's going to be nervy at Ellen Road for sure for the first 10-15 minutes. But when it starts to settle down, if we get a goal early, we'll get into our stride and we could score a few. Genuinely believe that. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks as always. Peace out. Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.